Okay. Hey there, Kate.
Hey, Mary, how are you?
Well, pretty good. Pretty good. All right. I'm not in the middle of a wildfire or haven't had a hurricane hit. So I'm pretty good. The
I'm going to
biggest,
knock on some wood.
knock on some wood, my most inconvenient thought is whether or not Groom Expo will happen and do I have to cancel a flight or something like that?
Which is, right now, not such a bad problem to have.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's really not a bad problem. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the two things we wanted to talk about today is that first of all, there's a list going around on Facebook, which I printed out and thought maybe we just go over the list.
Yeah.
Okay? And the second thing is that if you're involved in a disaster, your mental health, you survive, physically survive, your mental health is going to take a hit.
Yeah.
So we want to go over that, and maybe we even add that into the emergency and disaster planning class.
I think we should.
I think we should. I think I'm going to create a slide for those. If Pasadena happens, if Groom Expo happens in Pasadena, we'll be teaching this class there, and if not, it will also be available online pretty soon. We're working on it. All right. So, what do you want to do first, mental health, or do you want to do the list?
No, let's go over the list.
Okay. So the list. Now it's saying that these are like important documents, some of which you should have on you and ones that you should have someplace. There are things that you can get away with copies and there are things you can't. You have to have originals. Right? Not that you can't get new originals, but there could be a lag, and you know what, if you need them, you need them. Okay. So the list starts off with birth certificates. Birth certificates, unless you live in the town in which you were born in, is a bit of a pill to get a copy of a birth certificate. Just saying. Yeah, you should have the originals, and they should be someplace safe. Okay. You can scan them and upload them to the cloud, but when you need to have the original for some reason, they want the original because there'll be a seal on it.
Right.
Okay. Passports or visas, the original. You cannot make a copy or upload a copy to your drive folder for a passport.
Right.
Okay. So that you need. Okay. Home insurance documents can be scanned and uploaded to a drive folder or someplace else. You don't need to have that on you. All right. Car insurance documents and registration. Well, that should be in your car.
It should be. But you know what? Car insurance and registrations, well, registration, not so much, but insurance, a lot of people are pulling that up on their phone.
Yeah.
And not having the physical copy in the car, but you might actually want to take or print out a copy of that and keep that in the car or in your important papers because you might not get internet.
Or your phone might be dead.
Right.
All right. Which brings us to another thing, about having charging cords. Okay. Any medical cards, health insurance, anything that if you've got a chronic medical condition, like an alert bracelet. Most of, like, my husband has chronic medical conditions. He can access all of his files online. Right? They don't have to be stored any place. And because it's stored with a medical app, it can go between doctors, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So if we have the area and another doctor needs access to his medical history, he can pull it up on an app.
Yeah. I think you have to sign into that though, don't you? Like your doctor's office?
Knowing your username and password.
Yeah.
That's a task that my husband comes into my office one day and he goes, if something ever happened to you, I don't know any passwords or I don't know anything. So that's a new project that I'm already, oh my God, Kate, it's already 4 pages long of everything we have to sign into. Once it's complete, I'm going to print out a copy, a hard copy, and then I'm going to upload it to a drive folder.
Good idea. Good idea. It's so funny that you say that because my dad just had the same conversation with my mom. Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. You know, you only have one email, so that's going to be your login. Anything you need to log in, I've made it one of two passwords. So if one doesn't work, the other one should.
Does he get on the computer a lot, though? Does he know how to navigate away on the computer? See, that's the problem.
Yeah. His phone he's good with. He can do anything he wants on the phone. The phone he's very proficient in.
Yeah.
But if I put this computer in front of his face, he sits there like it's I don't know, like it's
Kryptonite?
yeah, yeah.
Doesn't want to touch it?
Doesn't want to touch it. And then if he does touch it, it's like these really, really stiff fingers on it. It's like, just move away. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if partially that is intentional. I mean, he is a guy.
But I think it does bring up a good point.
Yeah.
Because that is part of the emergency preparedness plan, that maybe you should have at least one other person. That's great that you have all this documentation, but
Hey, Colette.
maybe to share that with somebody else, your spouse, or, if you don't have a spouse, then at least one other person that they'll be able to get to that information in case something does happen.
I will, in addition to, well, here's the thing, right? It's my passwords to everything in my life. I just don't want to give a copy to somebody and they like leave it on their counter or something like that.
Right. But at least let them know how to access that. Because if something does happen to you, now they have to kind of go on their own and try and figure it out.
Yeah. So I will upload a copy for at least one of my daughters in a drive folder where they'll have access to it. So they can get the list there as well. Okay, so the next thing on the list that's going around says employment records. I don't know how.
I don't know why
Important to your job can be scanned and uploaded to a drive folder. And you should have, whether it's Dropbox or Drive or whatever cloud storage that you have. All right. I personally like Drive. I'm not a fan of Dropbox, but I know people who just are the reverse. They love Dropbox and they hate Drive, whatever. Have a folder in there where or thumb drive, but we're going to actually, that's on the list. We're going to get to that, Colette. Okay. Of having something was easy to access. All right. So the folder that'll be where my password is going to be, say, password list. It'll be in a folder that my daughter can have access to it. All right. The only thing that you would need as far as employment is if it's something specific to where you are personally working. But again, that can be scanned and that can be uploaded to a drive folder. You don't need to have the documents like in a bag ready to go. Michelle has a waterproof container with all her passwords and important papers near my go bag as well as online. So yeah, actually what will be added to my go bag will be the password list too, because there is just so many of them. And if something happens,
pages.
so far, there's 4 pages. Okay. I figure this is going to be a 6-page list, at least when it's done.
What?
But it's very detailed. This is the website. This is the login information.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll see. Okay. Next on the list are tax returns. Yeah, that can be scanned and that can be uploaded to a drive folder. My account, in addition to, I don't even do that. Mine are in a drawer here. My accountant has them.
Yeah, mine too.
So I'm not too overly concerned about where my tax returns are. We're on opposite sides of the country. So my accountant is still in New York. I'm out here in Washington. It's not unlikely that concurrent disasters could happen on each coast. I mean, of course, it's possible. Colette also has a fireproof safe boxes. Right?
Yes. Yeah, I have one of those too.
I have one of those too. Uh, where was I? So tax returns, yeah, no. Your driver's license, well, yeah, that should be with you. Um, if your driver's license is, you can renew licenses up to a year early. So like my birthday is November 8th. So November 9th forward that year, I can, if it's due up there for the following year, I can renew my license up until a year early.
How long do your licenses?
Oh, mine is 8 years.
Oh, ours are like 30.
Oh, are you kidding me?
No, I have to renew mine in like 2038.
Okay. Mine will renew in it because I just did it. Mine will renew in 8 years. That'll put me little 71, 71, 71.
Wow.
We'll
Yeah.
see if I renew my license after that, or well, I would hope I would renew it. I don't know if they're going to start doing like tests and stuff like that, which don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people on the road, old people on the road who should not be on the road anymore.
I agree. I've seen it,
Yeah.
especially being out here.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, I lived in Middletown, New York, and I still to this day, we're going to go back 30 years. Okay. I remember sitting at a light and this other guy sitting at the other light. We're facing each other. And you could see this is an elderly gentleman. And in the grill of his car is one of those orange cones.
Oh, no.
And as he drove past me, I could just see the blank look on his face. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm glad I'm heading in the opposite direction of this guy. So, and I have to renew my license in 8 years if they make me take a test. And if I fail the test, consider that a good thing and I will just Uber everywhere.
Well, you probably don't have them out there, but out here, they have the Waymo cars, which are the Google driverless cars. So you don't even need a driver's license because there's cars, and it's still like I cannot get used to it because I'd be driving down the road and there's a car next to me that doesn't have a driver in it. It's the most bizarre thing. And maybe I'm just old. I don't think it's cool. I think
no, there might be. Yeah, I'm not sure how comfortable I would be with somebody not holding the steering wheel, but okay, that's another conversation.
Yeah, it's a bizarre thing.
Social security cards, I think that can be uploaded to a drive folder. I don't think you need that on you.
So let me ask you though, because I'm not a real big techie person. So as far as like loading that stuff up to a drive folder, is that something that a hacker would be able to hack into? And then
You can get into anything.
Well, yeah. So that's where I'm saying, like, would it be better to have it on a thumb drive?
Okay. Possibly. We're going to get thumb drive is on the list here. We will get to it.
Okay.
Onto that. Just as far as like my financial information being stolen, I have LifeLock. I pay every year for LifeLock for both me and my husband.
Okay.
And they monitor that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Well, have at it. Plus, my homeowner's insurance, which is nationwide, added in some sort of monitoring thing too. And I get a report from that every couple of months.
Okay.
That's literally. So there's things monitoring my stuff. So I have to, I'm probably less concerned, not that it can't happen. I'm sure it can, but you know what? Don't click on the link in the emails.
Well, right.
That could be another conversation. Jessica Clark had an old lady T-bone her, and she said it's because I cannot see, but we can't tell the cops there, or you can't. Oh yeah, she can't see. That's why that's why she T-boned Jessica. ID Me is pretty good. I've heard of it. I've not looked into it. Do you know what ID Me is, Kate?
No, like I said, I'm not.
All right, I'm going to maybe during the commercial I will pull it up on Google and I will check that out.
Is that like a life lock?
I have no idea what it is. Uh, Backup ID, so student IDs, military, any kind of, I guess outside of driver's license. Like my mother-in-law didn't have a driver's license, so
Yeah.
she still had a state issued non-driver's license.
Well, you got to figure. So, I mean, to kind of put it in a perspective, so you have to evacuate quickly. You're out, and like these poor people in California right now that are losing their houses and everything, now they have to go somewhere. How do you prove who you are? And
Yeah,
that's where these documents are important to have, and just as important to have, easily accessible, because of the fact that how do you prove who you are? We sit here and think of the animal aspect of things, and we say make sure you have a picture with you and your dog so you can prove that it's your dog. But how do I even prove that you're Mary Oquendo?
because I said so, Kate.
Right. So when you're gathering all the paperwork and you're gathering all this information, just kind of keep that in mind.
Okay, so I took a quick peek. ID Me is a government online government site.
Okay.
So I will spend a little time checking that out after we finish up here. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I do have a two-factor authentication, and like Colette says, passport. You need your passport should be in with your go bag.
Yeah.
You're leaving, take your passport with you.
Like your passport's even more important than your driver's license.
It's probably yeah. Okay. Um, Credit cards, and I put slash cash. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I keep my credit cards to a minimum. I have three different credit cards. Um, I don't have a bank card. I don't use ATMs at all. Um, but in addition to having credit cards with you, you need to have cash ready to go because during a disaster, communication lines might be down. You might not be able to use a credit card. So, okay, we talked medical history. All right, power of attorney. Power of attorney and wills. Okay, that can be uploaded to a drive folder.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us that have concealed carry licenses, we should have that on us because if we're leaving and we have guns in the house, those guns should be coming with us. We shouldn't be leaving them in the house.
Right.
Okay. Important phone numbers. So maybe on a piece of paper, you just leave in your car. Okay. Put those insurance ID numbers and contact numbers and just leave it there in the car. I would say normally that you should know the phone numbers of like your kids and other family members, but I'm going to say no. This is not,
And this is 2025, babe.
okay, where we had to memorize phone numbers. Do you know, I know what my phone number, I can remember my phone number from when I grew up.
I know, me too.
Okay, so mine is 914-476-5993. I can remember that number.
Oh, that's so funny.
I should dial it one day just to see what happens.
It's like going to the house and being like, can I come in and take a look? I grew up here.
Yeah. I'm not sure I would do that. I don't know the person in that house now.
Right.
But anyway, I do not know off the top of my head my daughter's phone numbers. The only reason I know my husband's phone number is because our numbers are one digit off.
Okay.
Okay, titles, deeds, etc. That can be uploaded to your drive folder. Is it nice to have the originals? Yeah, but honestly, uploaded them because municipalities today, everything is digital anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your marriage license. Yeah, I would keep a copy of that. That, again, that's one of those documents that unless you live in the town in which you were married and you need a copy of it, even or at least within driving distance of that particular city hall. Otherwise, it's a pain in the butt. Okay. At least one statement from all financial accounts with account number, phone number, address, and etc. I have not received a paper banking statement in I don't know how many years. It's all available online. Again, that's my phone number, my so far 4 pages that includes my bank login information. Birth certificate, that was like one of the first things we talked about. Same thing. If you need a copy of your birth certificate, all right, and you don't living in the town that you were born in, what a pain in the butt, because we've had to do that.
I was gonna say I've had to do that, and it wasn't. I mean, we just went online and ordered it, and they sent it to you.
No, okay, well, maybe the municipality itself might make a difference.
Yeah.
So we had to get copies of our birth certificates from, we lived in Connecticut, and for New York City, which, it's not that far away, but, going down to Manhattan, yada, 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 was a pain in the butt doing it. And maybe it was in the early days of online. I don't know. It was a pain.
Yeah.
Okay. All military and VA records, I am sure that can be uploaded to a drive folder, scanned somewhere. Correct?
I would think so.
Okay. And okay, thumb drive. So these are pros and cons with thumb drives. If you are used to thumb drives and you got them labeled properly, yeah, it's a little tiny thing. You stick it in your pocketbook, you're good to go. Okay. Or if you're like me, you have like a dozen thumb drives all around the house. I have no idea what anything is on any of them. Okay. And I lose things. So something this big, I'm going to lose. I will guarantee you I will lose it. And then I will lose it and will have all my important information on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that said, but other than that, video of everything in the house, room, drawers, all your stuff to document for an insurance claim. And you know what? We're going to talk about insurance on another one of these. Okay. And then vet records. All right. I have, whenever I go in to my vet, especially one of my dogs is diabetic. So quarterly he goes in for check his blood sugar to see whether we have to adjust the insulin. And whenever we do that, I get new copies of all the health for the other three dogs. It's just a sheet of paper. It's just health records. It says when their vaccinations, what they have, what they need. That is it. Cecil's is like this thick because it's lab work. Okay.
Yeah.
So I need to have copies of that. That's in my go bag. And that gets changed out every time Cecil goes in for his quarterly blood draw. Okay. One thing I also want to make note about the health records for pets. If you go to a shelter, they're going to want to see that. They want to know the pets on a pets friendly shelter that they have the rabies shot or whatever else that's legal or required in that particular state. If you don't have that, they may not let you bring your pet to that pet safe shelter. So keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's the whole list. Woohoo!
That's a very detailed list.
And I think it is a really, really detailed list.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it bears taking the time to go over. But you know what? Let's do our one and only commercial because we're going to be a little over a half hour today.
Okay.
Okay. Come on.
Psych.
Are you tired of putting off your emergency and disaster planning manual? Look no further. This 67-page fillable template will make the process a breeze. Simply fill in the blanks for your business and gain access to checklists for supplies, common hazards, debriefing, evacuation and shelter-in-place protocols, resources, recovery, maintenance, as well as best intake practices. It's time to take action and be prepared. Get your copy today at positiveed.com/books.
Okay. So, and before we get into mental health, just want to make note of there are two organizations that can help for groomers the wildfires. Okay, the first is the California Association, the cppga.org. Right, they have a fire fund. You don't have to be a member of the association, but you do have to be a groomer. There is an application that you have to fill out. Okay, and the Pet Stylist Relief Fund. Okay, same thing. We have money to help you guys out, but you have to fill out an application. If you know of somebody that was affected by this, and they may not have internet or the mental capacity to deal with that at the moment, get them print it out, get them an application somehow. Okay. So, mental health. Did you get to take a look at the list?
Me? Who, moi? Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. So, even if you survive, you physically survive a disaster, like I said, your mental health is going to take a toll. It's going to take a hit. So, I am on psychiatry.org. Okay. And I'm just going to go really brief. Okay. So, common reactions in adults after a disaster. This is not children, by the way. Okay. So, if either you've been through a disaster and you notice these symptoms for yourself, or you know somebody who's been in a disaster and you've noticed this in them. Okay. So, they might have trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. Sadness, depression, hyperactivity, irritability, or anger. Okay. Or the reverse. They have no feelings at all. They feel numb. They might feel exhausted. They might lose their appetite, or on the flip side, they might eat all the time. I will tell you right now, I would be eating all the time. Okay.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh no. Well, I guarantee you, I would be eating nonstop. Trouble concentrating, feeling confused. They might isolate themselves, not do the things that they normally would do. Think that nobody feels the same reaction as you. And this, I think, is a big problem because I think that adds into the isolation because nobody feels the way you do. So something must be wrong with you because only you feel this. And that's not true.
I think there's also this misunderstanding that we're supposed to act a certain way. And when somebody deals with it in a different way, I've seen it. I've seen where if they don't handle it the way that somebody thinks that they should be handling it, then they're judged for the way that they are handling it. And I think that kind of falls into this as well.
Okay. They might have all sorts of physical ailments. Their stomach hurts, their head hurts. And they might misuse alcohol, tobacco, drugs, prescription medications. They're looking for a way to cope.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, it could be one of those symptoms. It could be all of the symptoms. And it could still be none of those symptoms.
I would have to say you're probably going to fall into at least one.
Maybe the numb, if nothing else.
Yeah, because of the fact that it's trauma and this is a trauma response. So to think that you're going to walk away from it. And that's the thing too, because it may not affect you right then and there. You may deal with what you need to deal with. You got your head on straight, and it's after the fact that things start to hit you. And I've also, dealing with first responders, and I've gone through it myself. It took a really long time for me to even realize that this stuff was affecting me. And then somebody else would be talking and I was like, wait a minute, do I have PTSD? And it took a minute to even realize it. So there's that aspect of it too.
Okay. So, according to psychiatric.org, so on the website, it has a lot of articles, a lot of links to articles with it. Okay. Uh, I will, you know what? Let me put this link in the chat here. I do recommend taking the time to read it because you could also maybe understand why your friend doesn't seems off.
Or why you may be feeling off. And to know that it's okay to feel off and you're not going crazy. And if people are judging you, then let them judge you because everybody's going to handle it differently. But I think this list also then goes into some of the things that you can do to help you get through some of those bad times.
Some of the things, helpful steps for adults after a disaster. And some of the stuff, okay, like the first one, eat, hydrate, exercise, and get rest on a regular basis. All right. Sometimes some of these are like easier said than done because if you're in a shelter, some of this may not be available to you. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but to know that I would still take that advice when things settle and you're out of the shelter, because it's not going to just be a certain time period after a disaster that you may have those effects. So I would keep this whole list on hand, even for later on down the road. And we could be talking a year, 2 years, because like I said, with PTSD, there's a lot of times for trauma, you stuff it in.
Yeah.
You deal with it and you stuff it in and you forget about it. And then something may happen later on and it's like, it'll set off this trigger.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, it floods it all back. And then you're thinking to yourself, well, why am I acting crazy like this? Why am I going through this? So to have this list on hand, even if it's down the road, it's not a bad thing.
All right. Avoid using alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs to manage distressing emotions. Find healthy ways to relax, breathing exercises, meditation, mindfulness, soothing music. Engage in fun and restoring activities. And I think what that one really is getting back to whatever your normal was. So including exercise, hobbies, and social activities. So if you, just for argument's sake, say you love to crochet, okay, getting back to that might also help with dealing with the effects, the trauma response of a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else? Keep informed. Use credible sources of information to avoid speculation and rumors. And here's where I'm going to address this. You ever play the game, a lie, the truth, and two lies?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're seeing a lot of memes going around, and they're ridiculous, and they are hurtful, and they do nothing to help the situation. But there is one truth in it. Okay, one truth, two lies. All right. So the two lies appear credible because of the one truth. So what I'm going to tell you before you spreading memes around that whose only purpose is to continue dividing people in this country, spend a little time and do your research. Not research from the sources that gave the information in the first place. Do outside. Take the time and do a little research. Okay?
I think social media sometimes is dangerous, and especially we're in a day and age with AI.
Yeah.
And it's really, really easy to put things out there that look real that aren't.
Yep.
So I would definitely.
I would ask, are you helping or are you hurting?
Right.
Okay. All right. So back to the list. Okay. Limit exposure to television and social media content about the disaster. Overexposure can increase distress. Stay connected with your friends and family. Learn what local healthcare and other resources are available. I wonder if on the FEMA websites that they address healthcare and mental health care on the websites there. I don't know that. I would have to go and take a look.
I don't know if they do. I will say this from working within it. We still need a lot of help with our mental health system.
Yeah.
So if you don't find somebody out there that you resonate with that seems like they're helping you, then try and find somebody else. Ask for the help, but don't be afraid to find somebody that you're going to resonate with to help you through the process.
Remind yourself and others that it's normal to have different feelings as well as good days and bad days, and it's a natural part of recovery. And seek assistance from a healthcare professional if your distress remains high after several weeks, if you have persistent trouble functioning at work or at home, or thinking about hurting yourself or someone else. Right? And you don't even have to go if it persists for a couple of weeks. If you're having trouble, seek mental health care. Okay. Not everybody has insurance. All right. But most municipalities will have like a 211 number. Okay, you're going to have more info on this than I am without seeking outside medical help, mental health.
Yeah, there's definitely organizations, and I would go through and see what organizations you may want to talk to. But I do know that they are out there, and there's programs out there to help people. So if they don't have insurance, don't have that be your reason for not seeking help, because a lot of these agencies, they want to help people, and so they will work with you as far as making that work. And I think there are definitely different phone numbers out there, and I don't know them off the top of my head to be able to spoo them off right now, but there's different phone numbers out there that can help. I've personally never had personal or gotten feedback from that or had personal interaction with those phone numbers, so I'm not sure exactly how well I would want to go to one of those phone numbers versus actually calling a therapist. But either way, they're going to be able to guide you to who you need to talk to.
Okay. All right. So if anyone, and yes, Jessica, I wish they would load way more information than just a microchip number on those microchips that we insert in our dogs too. That would be nice. And one other thing too about the microchips is whenever you're bringing your pet in, just have them scan it. Make sure the chip is still active. Or it's where, or that it didn't move to another part of their body. All right. So I think we're done here.
I know we went over by a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. However, will we be back on Monday? Yes, we will.
Yeah.
We'll be back on the 20th.
Yeah.
So we'll see everybody next week. As always, if there is something you would like us to discuss, please let us know if there's a particular topic you want to talk about. Okay? All right. So we will see everybody next week.